Imagine waking up, and the floor beneath you isn't concrete anymore, it's breathing. It pulses, a wet, rhythmic throb against your bare skin. This isn't some nightmare, this is Sector 7 in 2150, ground zero for the calcification. They sealed us in here, the infected and the untainted, alike, condemning us to a slow, agonizing transformation into the very infrastructure keeping this tomb alive. The lights flicker constantly, casting grotesque, dancing shadows of what was human, now just organic growths, fused into the rebar and conduits that line these oppressive, crumbling walls. Every breath of the filtered air tastes metallic, clinging to your throat, a constant reminder that you're existing on borrowed time, in a place where the line between living and dead, flesh and steel, has been horrifically blurred. The silence is broken only by the hum of failing life support and the faint, agonizing groans of the truly lost, their consciousness slowly dissipating into the very structure around us, becoming part of the walls, part of the floor beneath my feet. We called it the architect's embrace, but there was no embrace, only consumption. The disease started insidiously, a hardening of the skin, a calcification of the bone that stretched and warped, followed by veins fusing with electrical wiring, organs slowly becoming indistinguishable from the ventilation shafts. Survivors like me, or what's left of us, huddled in the few remaining, stable, pockets, scavenging for anything remotely edible. Our only sustenance, the automated nutrient recyclers that processed, organic waste, into gray, tasteless protein paste, a grotesque parody of food. Desperation clawed at our sanity, twisting our minds, dulling our senses to the creeping horror around us. We were told it was synthetic, a miracle of desperate bioengineering, the last hope for life in a dying, merging world, but deep down, a primal part of my brain screamed warnings I couldn't articulate, a faint whisper of revulsion I was too starved to heed. I started seeing things, or perhaps, feeling them. A faint, almost imperceptible heartbeat within the wall beside my cot, a damp warmth seeping from the floorboards, occasionally a faint, metallic taste that lingered on my tongue long after I'd swallowed the bland paste. One night, while desperately trying to pry loose a loose panel for a makeshift repair, my pry bar struck something wet, something that bled. Not blood as we knew it, but a viscous, dark fluid that seeped from a crack, coagulating into a thick, syrupy mess that smelled faintly of decay and something else. Something disturbingly familiar. The texture of the walls began to shift, becoming oddly yielding in places, then unnervingly fibrous, like muscle tissue stretched taut over bone. The nutrient paste itself grew more disturbing. One day, I found a hair, long and dark, embedded in a lump of it. Another time, a sliver of something that felt suspiciously like a fingernail. My mind, ravaged by isolation and malnutrition, rationalized it as contamination, industrial byproducts from the recycling process. But the truth began to claw at the edges of my perception, a horrifying whisper building to a scream as the lights in my isolated chamber flickered, then died, plunging me into absolute darkness. My hand, trembling, found another brick of the paste. The cold, clammy texture was suddenly too much. As my fingers fumbled, they brushed against a barely discernible inscription on the wrapper, a faded personal mark no doubt left by a previous occupant, perhaps a family crest or an initial, etched into the biosynthetic film. My vision was failing, the darkness oppressive, but my mind, now racing with terror, saw it. Not an M for manufacturing or military supplies, but an M for Maria. My wife. And then, the next brick, a crude T for my son, Tomas. The nutrient paste, the organic waste processed by the automated systems, wasn't just human. It was my family, their essence merged with the structure, then harvested, processed, and fed to me, the sole survivor. My own body felt the subtle pull then, the itching, the calcification beginning in my fingertips, spreading like icy tendrils up my arm. I was becoming part of the building, part of them. And I had been eating them, for months, feeding on the remains of the very people I desperately tried to protect. The building groaned, a sound now terrifyingly recognizable as the collective agony of my loved ones, a symphony of suffering I had been blindly consuming. Now, I felt the merge starting. I was not just living in the building, I was becoming it, a horrific, conscious monument of cannibalism. And the paste was still there, untouched. Waiting for me.